You know, I get many different suggestions on my channel. A couple of things that keep coming up are longer videos, and a lot of you would like for me to do some cemetery walks where I actually go through the cemeteries, read off the names, read off some of the dates and the epitaphs. So that's what we are going to do. I am out in the field today, so to speak. I've got the sunglasses on, I've got the microphone on. Let's take a cemetery walk together in a new series that I am going to start, Whittdocs Cemetery Walks.
So we're walking up towards the top of the cemetery. We're on just a little bit of a slope here, and we are on the Carter County, Elliott County line here in northeast Kentucky. And I just wanted to do this new series. I've had a lot of requests for just a stroll through the cemetery, so that's what we're going to do today. Just take a little walk here. And I'm going to try to read some of the names, a little history about this cemetery. This is called Old Whit Cemetery, and yes, some of my ancestors are actually buried here, so I wanted to come and visit this. And the unfortunate thing is, and we'll see what they look like once we get up here, but every time that I come here, the stones are in just a little bit worse shape as they were the time before. So we're going to look. I'm hoping to be able to read some of these names on here. If not, we'll at least look at the stones and take a walk through the cemetery. But it is just a joy for me to be here. As far as the oldest grave, I'm not exactly sure. I know there's several in here that go back to the 1800s. I would say a lot of those go back to the 1800s. And we'll just kind of take a look here. But so glad to be able to do this walk. And this is something that I've always enjoyed doing. I mean, even before I had a YouTube channel about cemeteries, I would do this. I would, a lot of times just go by myself, take a stroll through some cemeteries, and, look at some of the graves and try to read the names and things like that. But you can see a lot of these are just simple stones. But there are several unmarked graves in here. I know there are, but there are a lot that are marked or were marked through the years. But just want to give a little bit of a look here and start walking. You'll see some of the stones on the ground there. I mean, here's the thing. In Kentucky, we have warm and humid summers, but we can have some brutally cold winters too, and that just does not bode well for these old stones. I mean, look, some of these stones are probably, I would say, close to 200 years old. So, people of modest means here in the Old Whit Cemetery. There are a few different last names in here. You'll see, I believe you'll see Whitt, King, Mobley, maybe some different ones in there. But what I've read on my genealogy research is that all these families kind of moved here around the same time, and I don't know if they moved there around the same time, but they all lived there, and they just kind of intermarried between the families. It's rained here about all day, and you can see some rain clouds there, but I was actually able to get up here with some sunshine. So I'm glad to be able to do this. I didn't think we were going to be able to film today. Let's go ahead and get in here and take a look and start trying to read some of these names. I don't know how well this translates on camera. This is the grave of John S. Whitt. And I cannot hardly... I see February there, and below that it looks like 1833. February 12th, 1833, I believe, is the birth on that. The death, I can't hardly see it. That's one of my direct ancestors, though. John S. Whitt. Now this grave, let me try to read this here. Francis M. Whitt. Now I know that Francis M., that M stands for Marion. I believe that's John's son, the person we just visited. If anyone knows how to clean these stones, and here's the thing, I don't know if it's something where a cleaning would help, or if it's just time is just taking those away from us. I don't know, but I would love to eventually try to remark these in some way. I don't know. I've only been here a handful of times myself. I mean, it's probably less than 5. And I always like, anytime I see this, even though it's always terribly sad, I do like to take a look at the graves of the young. Let me see if I can make this out. Our darling Everett H. Walker, April 14th, 1908 through September 27th, that may be 1913. I can't really make that out, but yeah, I never want to grow cold to the fact, and even though I love visiting cemeteries, I love history, I love being out here. I never want to grow cold to the fact, and I've said this before in my channel, each one of these stones represents the worst day of someone's life. I'm sure there are a lot of tears shed here. So even though it's great for history, it's great for genealogy research, it is still someone that was very loved. They're all buried here, so it's definitely something I don't want to grow cold to, and try not to be shaky here, being out and about. Like I said, we're kind of on the side of a hill here. If you look back down towards the cemetery, like where we're looking at now, this is definitely in the older section. I don't know if any of you all are like me or not, but when I'm out and about, I like to try to find the older sections. I just gravitate to those. There's newer sections here. We'll try to go take a look. Richard P. Whitt, which that P stands for Price. Richard Price Whitt. June, it looks like June something 18, I'm not exactly sure. On the top of this stone there used to be something that says elder. So he was an elder in his church. I don't know what that means as far as the type of church that he went to, but it used to say elder. And actually, that's probably it that's kind of crumbled down there. I would say there was another stone that was on top of this that may have actually fell off. But Richard Price Whitt, someone in my family, my grandparents who are both gone now, there was a family member that actually gave them a book of genealogy in it. And this guy was a clerk or a recorder or something for his church. And I was reading through, and there was, and here's the thing, he was very well written for his day. And you know, in Northeast Kentucky, that's hit or miss. You know, sometimes, you know, people can read and write, and sometimes not back in those days. But it surprised me how well written he was. But he had put in there that we want this to be a record for future generations as to why we didn't have service for a period of time. Well, the reason was it was written during the Civil War time. You don't really think about that, or I never did. But I mean, there was a. Let's look at the stones here. Yeah, as you can see, these are the stones. I believe that's set on top of that and said elder on top of his gravestone. But yeah, you don't really think about that. But you know, during those times, even here in Kentucky, which was a neutral state, they were afraid to congregate because, I don't know, I guess there was just so much unrest. But it was written in there right during the Civil War times as it was dated. And it said, you know, let this be a record for future generations to know that we didn't congregate for a period of time due to what's going on in the country. I thought that's really neat. Let's look down here and see if I can make this out. Madeline Whitt. And I can see, it looks like January in there. That may look better for you all on camera. I'm not exactly sure, but Madeline Whitt. And let's see what this is. David. Looks like David O. Whitt, November 7th, 1874. Looks like the birth year on that. Go ahead and continue to walk down this way. Do any of you all like to go out and walk through cemeteries like this? I love doing the famous grave videos. I love doing the country cemetery tours. But in most of those, when the famous graves, you know, I just look at the person that I am profiling. And on the country cemetery, I just generally give just kind of an overall look of the cemetery and don't visit too many graves. But it was amazing to me how many people, and I understand it, how many people wanted me to actually read the names. So I'm trying to go through here and find some that are easier to read than others, because some of these are hard to read. Let's get down here and see what this says. Julia A., wife of I guess that's H.C.T. Whitt, born April 12th, 1850 something, died July 21st. That appears to be 1912 maybe. And the bottom of that epitaph, I'm trying to see what that says. Blessed, something blessed. Blessed, and I saw Lord at the end. Let's see what this one says. HGC Whitt, February 5th, 1840 through October 28th, 1920. I love this stone. Not exactly sure. Looks like it's made of something different. Kind of a simple stone, but kind of not. But I love you can read that very well. It's held up very well. Rachel A. Whitt, born June 26, 1875. Died May 20th, 1926. The Lord is my shepherd, I shall not want. I've noticed here in the epitaphs that I can read, definitely a Christian tilt on this. So most of these people probably held a Christian belief. We're kind of down towards the bottom of this old section. I want to show you all towards the top. I love the trees in here. And there's the newer section. We are going to actually walk over there here in just a moment and take another look at that. But yeah, I love, it amazes me. It amazed me when I started my channel, just how many people like to tour cemeteries. I didn't know that. You can see a few rain clouds here coming in. I don't know how long we'll be able to be here, but it amazes me though how many people actually enjoyed looking at cemeteries. I didn't know that there was really that much of a community, and there is. So I'm very thankful to be able to find you all who enjoy this like I do. Let's see what this says. Thelma, wife of Alva Waddell, January 18th, 1923, July 5th, 1940-something, in loving memory. Just wonder, every one of these people had their own lives, and I'm just glad to be able to be here. But yeah, I did not realize that there was a community of people who enjoyed visiting cemeteries. I've always liked doing it. I have an uncle that I guess I get it from him that enjoyed doing it as well. But I didn't realize, I've got 20,000 of you all subscribing to me that enjoys the cemetery videos. So I know this is a little different than what I normally do, but I love this was a great idea, and I've had several people ask me to do this. But yeah, I want to start this new series, Whittdocs Cemetery Walks, and let's just find a cemetery somewhere and walk through it together. Also, if any of you all are in Kentucky, Ohio, West Virginia, in that area, and you have a family cemetery that I can have access to, it doesn't have to be easy to get to. I don't mind to drive, and we got a lot of hills here. None of that scares me, but just if I can get to it, leave me a comment below. I would love to have some suggestions. Also, if you're not from our area, comment anyways. I do a lot of traveling on this. Let's see what this says. Charles S. Does that say Posey? Charles S. Posey? Huh. I don't recall ever seeing a Posey in here before. That's probably a footstone there, but you can see several graves marked, but you can just see these are just little field stones, and that they've placed there. Let's see what we have here. Sarah, is that Rose? Born. Now notice there it says born, B-O-R-N-E-D, born June 15th. It looked like. I want to walk up kind of back towards the tree line here. Don't visit this part too often. Well, I don't visit the cemetery too often. Like I said, I've only been here a handful of times, but during my genealogy research, I had noticed that, let's see what this says. Richard Lee King. I mentioned there were some kings in here. You can see the little lamb on top there, and yeah, 38 through 42. Just another youngster here. So sad. Let's walk up. Actually, I see a yeah, let's walk up here and check this out. I see a veteran's grave. Let's see what this says. Worth Keller King, Kentucky Private First Class Company E1 Pioneer Infantry, World War I. A World War I grave. Worth Keller King, December 29th, 1895. December 30th, 1960. Let's see if we can 61, it looks like. You don't hear the name Worth too much either. I love finding these old names, because you know these names were probably popular back in the day. But, you know, you just don't hear some of these names too often. But here's the other side of his stone. Worth K. King, December 29th, 1895. Veteran of World War I. Let's see, Melly and William King. William passed away in the 40s, it looks like. Melly in the 50s. But I was doing some genealogy research, and I kept seeing these names in my family tree, and I got to thinking one day, where are these guys buried at? That's how I found this cemetery, was I was trying to see where my ancestors were buried. Van B. King, October 9th, 1875, January 4th, 1939. Is that the all-seeing eye on that? Huh. Yeah, if anyone has any idea of what that is or the symbolism behind that, leave me a comment. I would love to know. Very, very interesting. At rest with Jesus, it looks like, is what that says. But yeah, I would love to know. I try not to get my shadow in my videos, but the way that sun's shining today, it's not going to work. Oscar O. King, March 6th, 1867, October 31st, 1918. His last duty was for liberty? Is that what that says? His last duty was for liberty. Very interesting. It sounds like he was a veteran. I need to research this a little bit. That's a very interesting epitaph. Yeah, I've done a lot of these, and I don't recall seeing anything like that before. Oscar O. King. Very, very interesting. But yeah, I found out that all of my ancestors, like 3 different grandfathers, were buried in this cemetery, and I had no idea that it existed. And the real bad thing is, this is not that far from where I live. So, yeah, just some genealogy research led me here. And most of my family, well, my original ancestor that came here came to this particular area. Elias King. June, maybe 9th, maybe. 1806, and you see the 2 hands shaking there. Always an interesting marker. I like seeing that. And actually, I had one of you all tell me what this was. I've seen this in cemeteries before, that finger pointing to the sky, and you all have let me know that that is the finger pointing to heaven. Elkanah? That's a very interesting name, Elkanah. Son of Elias and Isabella King, February 28th, 1835 through April 30th, 1859. Elkanah, I just did not... Very interesting. I didn't expect to see a name like that. Very unique name. I would love to know the history behind that, if it's just a name that they liked, if that's a family name from someone. Very, very neat. You can see some of the stones are just so dark. Now this one probably could be cleaned by a pro. I'm certainly not. Isabel, wife of somebody. Couldn't make that out. This looks like a dove. Caroline, daughter of Isabel, somebody in Isabel King. Just another young one there. My goodness. Just a lot of sadness here. You start thinking back. I mean, again, I say this a lot. These were real people. And I guess sometimes history can callous us, but there was definitely some heartbreak so many years ago. Some of these, I'm trying to show you some general footage here, because some of these are just so hard to read. Just looking over here, I can't even read those. But I do like to at least show you. Let's walk down here to the some of the newer section. I love the trees that are up here. There has to be some age on these because these are, I don't think the camera really shows how big those are. Let's see who we have here. Eliza Mobley. That looks like November 24th. I believe that's 1869, December 20th, 1945. Now, if I make mistakes on these, forgive me. I'm trying my best. It's hard to see out here the way the sun's shining, and just the age makes it really, really hard to hear, or hard to see. I'm sorry. Now, standing back towards the bottom, going back up towards the top here. I mean, we are definitely out in the country. I know this is not exactly one of my country cemetery tours that I do, but it very well could be if I chose to go that route. But with this Whittdocs cemetery walks, I do want to actually, read the names, read some of the epitaphs, visit some of these. Now check this out. Wick E. Mobley, Nanny Walker Mobley. He passed away in 1980, and she passed away in 1935. My goodness, that's a long time to be a widower. Wow. Yeah, I mean, he may have been remarried, I don't know, but according to that, he was a widower for a long time. That's, wow. Very sad there as well. Let's look a little bit under this tree and see what's under here. Dempsey W. Looks like this is a couple young ones here. October 29th, 1917, November 12th, 1917. Ruby C. February 22nd, 1921, March 8th, 1921. From mother's arms to the arms of Jesus, son and daughter of E.T. and my goodness. Yeah, very, very sad. I mean, here's the thing, like, those are two young people there that passed, and they passed a couple years apart. So, wow. You never get used to seeing that. All these look like Mobley gravestones here. It's kind of an older one. It says farewell up at the top. I like that. Shake hands, looks like probably the gates of heaven there. Until we meet again. Clyde E. Mobley, January 15th, 1896 through January 6th, 1955. Very interesting. I like that farewell up at the top. Here's a few newer graves. Mary Gertrude Whitt Mobley. She passed March 4th, 1992. Oh yeah, the Whitts would marry the Mobleys from what I hear. And so glad to be able to be here today on my first installment of Whittdocs Cemetery Walks. I'm going to make a playlist of these and start doing these every now and then. And let's give you all another look up towards the back of the cemetery. And you can see the trees here, but we are on the Carter and Elliott County line here. And it's ended up being a beautiful day. It's rained all day, but I caught just a little bit of sunlight to be able to get here and get this video done. So I know this may not be everyone's favorite style, but as I mentioned, my channel is 100% cemetery related, so it may be a famous grave, maybe more of a documentary style, maybe a country cemetery where I show you more landscape and gravestones and things like that, or as in this new series, read some names, just take a stroll together. And I really do appreciate those who came along with me today. And I've heard a few things. I've heard we want longer videos, and we want you to read some of the names. So I just try to fulfill as many requests as I can. So I'm glad to be able to do that today. You can see the cornfield there. We are out in the country, the hills of Kentucky. So, it's a great day to be doing this. I'm going to leave links in the description where you can find me. Social media, my Facebook, Instagram. Please join me from Northeast Kentucky. I will see you again soon.